Our chord progression in C has the advanced level finger style component. And so let's have a look at it section by section, as it's actually arranged in like that in the music, in the tablature, if you have a look at it. There's an A part, B part, C part, and so on. But let's break down even the A part into measures so that it's easier for you to learn. I'm going to lower the camera a little bit so that you can see my two hands. And I'll talk you through some tips and give you some instruction, and then by hearing that and also by seeing me play it, hopefully this is something that you can tackle. It's not that difficult, but if you're new to fingerstyle guitar, then it can be a bit challenging. And even if you're not new to it, there's some subtle nuances in this song that could make it challenging. One of them is the percussive tap. So even in the first measure, like that. Okay, so actually that's the first measure. So let's just look at the first measure. So here's what it sounds like. So a few things I want to point out. The first four notes, those are eighth notes, 1 and 2 and, like that. Now remember that you want to assign your thumb to the bottom 3 strings and your first finger to the 3rd string, second finger to the 2nd string, 3rd finger to the 1st string. So 10, 12, 0, 12. So thumb, index, 2nd, 3rd. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, another thing that I want to point out is left hand fingering. So what we do for those first 4 notes is we hold down our first finger on the 10th fret, 4th string, 3rd finger on the 12th fret, 3rd string, pinky on the 12th fret, 1st string. So that's the shape. The shape actually, it's similar to a famous first inversion major chord. So, but as we pick through those 4 notes, the 2nd string rings out open. It's an interesting sound because the other 3 notes are pretty high in pitch, but then you have that open 2nd string ringing out, which is a little bit lower in pitch. Anyway, as soon as you play those 4 notes, which are all 8th notes, you slap your strings with your right hand. And then immediately after, you're playing those 2 zeros on strings 1 and 2. So that's a pluck or a claw with your 3rd and 2nd fingers of your right hand, because those are the fingers that are assigned to those strings, because that's the most efficient way to play it. And then there's one more note in the measure, and that's 7. Fret 7 on string 4. Sorry. Now, if you look at my left hand, you'll notice that after I do the percussive slap and those 2 open notes, I go and I put my index finger on fret 7 string 4, but that's really the only finger that's on there. And while that note is ringing out, because notice in the music how that last 8th note of measure 1 is tied to the first 8th note of measure 2. So it rings out for a little while, 1 beat to be precise. While it's ringing out, I can get my other fingers in position. I have to put down my 3rd finger on fret 9 of string 3. And then if you look at the music, the next note is an open string, string 2. So in other words, while that 7, which is note A, is ringing out, I can get my third finger in position so that I can proceed through the measure. Okay, measure 1, and then measure 2, 7 rings into it, and then 9, 0 on string 2. Now here's another one of the nuances of this song, a pull-off. And it's with the second finger. That's 8 to 0. 8 on string 1, 8 fret, pulling off to 0, which is an interesting sound. Okay, and then you proceed through the measure 0, 9, 0, 0 on strings 1 and 2. So I'm on measure 2 here. So it's going to sound like this, just measure 2. Again. So there's a lot of open strings ringing out. Again. So actually you can just hold those 2 fingers down. That's just fingers 1 and 3 on frets 7 and 9. And the only other note that has to be fretted is that 8. And then that's the pull off. Notice it's a 16th note pull off, so it's quick. So measure 2 sounds like this. Now let's play measure 1 and 2 together. Okay, now don't forget to assign third finger to the first string, second finger to the second string, and first finger to the third string on those treble strings. So that little pull off has an interesting sound, doesn't it? And then we go to third measure. And it's the same shape, meaning first finger on fret 3, string 4, third finger on fret 5, string 3, pinky on fret 5, string 1. So that's that familiar shape with that open string ringing out on string 2. So you play the 4 notes, 1 and 2 and slap, 1 and 2 and slap, and right after the slap, open on 2, first finger to play open 1, first finger on my right hand, so that's fingers 2 and 1 on my right hand, playing 0, 0 on strings 2 and 3. But now we have to put down 5 on string 4, 7 on string 1. And if we look ahead to measure 3, we see that we need a 7 on string 3. So there's that shape again with our left hand. So we may as well just put it all down at the end of measure 3. So it's like this. Okay, I put it all down. Guitar, that's a big part of playing the guitar, is that we're always looking ahead to see what's coming up next in the song. And we make good choices in current measures to prepare for upcoming measures, because that's just an efficient way to play. So I need that 7 down on string 3 in measure 4. So I put that shape down at the end of measure 3. So let's look at measure 3. Okay. Very similar to measure 1, but in measure 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, slap, and then the pluck, which is actually a quarter note. But in measure 3, it's 2 eighth notes. 0, 0, strings 2 and 3. That's right before the end of the measure where we have to put that shape down. So, okay. So let's look at that top line all together. So that's measures 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. ahead to measure 4 there. So let's do that, and that's where we're going to end this segment, measure to a 4, because after measure 4, you kind of go back to the beginning, down to not really the beginning, but you go back to this position here on measures 10 and 12 to kind of start that sequence over again. Okay, so then if we just look at measure 4, if you just look at it, you can see that the 2 notes it starts on are tied to back to measure 3, which is why when you look at the tablature, the 7 and the 5 are in brackets, meaning that those notes are still ringing out from measure 3, which is why I was trying to explain the importance of putting down this chord shape at the end of measure 3 so that you're ready for it in measure 4. So here's measure 3. Okay, so there's that shape, and then it's ringing into measure 4, and then all I have to do is 0, 7. Then I got to lift my pinky, 0, 0, 7, 0, 0. Okay, so when I put that chord shape down at the end of measure 3, my pinky is on fret 7 of the first string. But then as we proceed into measure 4, you'll see that the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth last note of that measure is an open first string, which means I have to at one point lift my pinky. Okay, so that's measure 4. That chord's ringing, and then I go. So here's how measure 3 and 4 sound together. Again. One more time. Okay. So measures 1 to 4. 2, 3, 4. Again. So practice that. Get measures 1 to 4 down fluently, and then the rest of the song won't be as difficult because you'll already be used to a lot of the chord shapes, especially, and the picking patterns with your right hand. So we'll look at measures 5, 6, 7, and 8 next, which will then wrap up section 8.